Hey everyone. I don't normally make videos like this, but if you're anything like me, you just saw the Halo Infinite gameplay demo and probably have a lot of mixed thoughts. I just wanted to share mine and get them down on video while they're still fresh in my head. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed by this. I mean, part of me is, but I'm more baffled and legitimately interested in what this game is going to be. There's things I really like in it. The idea of exploring a Halo ring, the Banished, the idea that the whole weapon sandbox is going to be new and different are all pretty cool things to me. But also visually, I'm kind of confused by it not really looking anything that great. Things like the Chief are really cool, but you look at some of the weapons and they just feel very flat, dull, and uninteresting to look at. I'm not going to weigh too much in on story stuff, although I'll say that I think it's kind of cool that the Chief has this pilot buddy who's stressed and is going to confront the Chief on stuff and just isn't a total fanboy of him. I think it's an interesting thing that'll be fun to watch him play out, but, until we play this game, I can't say I'm really invested in this guy. Chief in this overall looks fantastic. I wasn't sold on the return to his Halo 3-ish style armor, but seeing it in motion with all this, I'm definitely sold now. It's probably my favorite iteration of the Chief, followed by the Halo 4/5 one. Although, I still like the Halo Wars Mark IV the most. Before we totally jump into the gameplay though, I'll just give you my first impressions, and that this is the most un-Halo I think we've seen Halo. Like, visually, it looks very much like Halo, and I'm mixed, like I said, I'm mixed overall on the visual side of things. I think the design and direction is really cool on a lot of stuff, but graphically it just seems very under-detailed and blocky. But gameplay-wise, like, this almost looks like it's a totally different game with the Halo IP slapped onto it. The Halo IP will always bring interesting gameplay mechanics with it, which you clearly see in this, but, like, even going down to stuff like the HUD, it feels very, very un-Halo-y. I mean, I think this grappling hook, if you look in the lower right, you'll see the grappling hook is there, and I think he swaps it out later. Again, this is all pretty fresh for me, and I haven't even gone through this video in total detail to pick out everything. Maybe I'll do one about that later. But it does seem like they're trying to simplify players' understandings of things. Like, if you see when he picks up that plasma pistol, oh, sorry. Yeah, this, what I was saying about stuff looks blocky, that asset looks like it's pulled right out of Halo Wars 2. Like, visually, like, I love the Banished aesthetic, but that Phantom does not really look anywhere near as nice as I would expect it to. But anyway, going back to the plasma pistol, it says plasma and charge on it. So it seems like they're starting to separate weapons by class and properties, which I think is kind of cool. It's going back to the more rock, paper, scissors. Opening up this TAC map is really cool. It has upgrades and a database, so it looks like it's getting a little bit outside of the typical Halo stuff you see. I think upgrades are cool. I'm actually doing an upgrade system for the next chapter of SPV3 for our open world project. But having the map, sort of the logbook is cool, and I'm curious to see what they actually decide to do with those upgrades. This whole thing with the Hog makes me a little nervous. It seems like they're taking a lot of pages out of Gears 5, and I really hated in Gears 5 that the vehicles were just to get from place to place without any real purpose. Like, why is a player getting in this Hog to go to, find some enemies to fight? And if it sounds a little bit nitpicky, keep in mind that having worked on, Halo campaigns and stuff for years, I tend to look at stuff a lot more from a design perspective and what they're trying to do to motivate players. This weapon, again, it's pretty, I don't know how to really describe it. It's pretty un-Halo-y. It's cool to have a new weapon, and I don't really mind. I don't mind stuff that's un-Halo-y, to be honest. Like, I'm not a classic Halo purist. I like stuff that's new and interesting, and that's one thing I really do like about this. Like, stuff like this grappling hook, these new weapons that almost seems like an automatic slow battle rifle or, whatever kind of Destiny-esque gun that is. That doesn't bother me. I'm always interested in seeing new stuff. It's one of the reasons why I don't totally hate Halo 5. But going back to what I was saying, all this stuff here, that form of equipment and everything, it doesn't feel like Halo, but it looks really fun on its own. Like, obviously equipment was in Halo 3, but just the way this is all sort of blending together into the combat loop is very different than what I would typically expect of Halo, or I think what really anyone would expect. Here's the blocky phantom again. I will say probably the thing I like the most about this is just these environments and how big this world seems, and being able to do things in different sequences, and even stuff like the grappling hook. So, well, let's talk about movement and stuff, because you can see that there's sprinting here, that there's the grappling. A few times it looks like there's almost like sort of like a sidestep thrust, not quite as dramatic as what was in 5, but still sort of there. You have to watch the video really carefully in a few parts to see it. Maybe I'll throw some timestamps on the video when I'm done recording this. Personally, I'm not against the advanced mobility stuff. In fact, I welcome it. I just don't like seeing when the gameplay starts to become focused around those abilities. So here it actually is a good sign for me. It doesn't seem like they're doing that. It all seems there to kind of complement, a core combat loop. It's not like 5 where there's such an emphasis on it. Now this, with picking up the items and throwing it, I think is really cool. It's interesting to be able to use your environment like that way. But again, it doesn't feel very Halo-y, but they're adding it anyway. So I guess we'll kind of have to play to see how we like it. But it's what makes me have such mixed feelings about this, because, yeah, things look cool, like, things look interesting, things look different. It looks like a cool, fun game with the Halo aesthetic, but you know what? Anything with a Halo aesthetic will get my interest. If there's a Gears of War game or a Call of Duty game, like a literal Call of Duty game that is Halo themed and everything, I'd be into that too. Or even a Doom 2016 style game, which you're getting a little bit of vibes of with that, with the grappling hook here. But I don't know, things are like kind of bizarre. Like there's that shotgun that doesn't look like the shotgun. Like, it's just like interesting. Because again, like I was saying, it feels like another game with the Halo IP slapped on it. Like, I don't understand why the original shotgun is gone and this one's there. But at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, well, like, we'll see. Either way, it's just a very different vision for Halo in this game. And whether that's good or not, we'll have to see. I definitely don't think anyone's going to be bored by this game or find it disinteresting. Even if it's not necessarily what you wanted, I think we're going to get an interesting game in this. And that's the probably best thing I can say for it. We're going to get a really different take on Halo with this game, even if visually it seems more tonally consistent with Bungie. And I think that something that's new and different, even if it's not even better than what came before, is always fun and always interesting to play. So that's that's a reason why I didn't totally hate Halo 5, because even though gameplay-wise and campaign-wise it's far from my favorite Halo game, it was new and interesting enough that it was refreshing compared to everything we had played in the past. And speaking of 5, the fact that they threw out the whole Cortana storyline, at least in this, is fine by me. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Banished. I'm a big fan of exploring the Halo rings. This seems to be getting a lot back to the roots, and they've already talked about being a spiritual reboot. As long as the story is interesting, I don't really care how consistent it is. I've never really thought that highly of Halo's story and consistency overall, game to game. I'm a much bigger fan of the earlier stuff than the later stuff, and by later stuff, I mean Halo 2 and onward. So if I had to sum up my thoughts, I would say I'm optimistic of having a good time with this game. It's definitely going to be fun to look at. It's going to be fun to explore. There's going to be a lot of twists. There's going to be a lot of things to discuss. They're taking a lot of chances with it. And overall, I think that's a good thing, even if it's not necessarily the game that I want. Be sure to leave a comment below telling me what you thought of it, and feel free to ask any questions too. I'll do a follow-up video answering your questions regarding this reveal and anything else that they reveal in the next coming days. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more content.